NBC6 News Today at 5 starts now.
Well, right now here at 5 o'clock, and first up this morning, the husband of a Broward woman who vanished is now behind bars. The charges he is facing in connection to his wife's disappearance.
Back to the moon and beyond.
This morning, we witnessed history in the making as the Artemis 1 mission officially launched from Titusville. I'll let you know the details coming up next.
America's comeback starts right now.
Former President Donald Trump formally announcing his 2024 presidential bid. How political figures from both sides of the aisle are reacting this morning. Not a big surprise.
No, I think a lot of people expected it.
Yes.
Now it's official.
It is official. Good morning, South Florida. Thanks for waking up with us on this Wednesday. I'm Constance Jones.
And I'm Chris Anderson. Hey, we're halfway through the week. Next week's the holiday week, so it's important that we lay out the plan for the forecast this week into next week. I know it's a little early to start planning the holiday travel weather forecast.
Yeah, but if you're, I mean, it's not that early because you got to plan the clothes, you got to plan what you're going to go buy, all of that stuff. So Adam Berg has the details on the forecast for the next few days and hopefully beyond.
Speaking of the clothes, we're almost twinning.
Yeah,
today.
no.
Almost.
Same jacket,
slightly
same
different
shirt.
tie. And I was actually looking at a tie very similar to that.
I may go change it.
There we go. I have to head all the way home to deal with that. I'll see you guys in a little bit. So for this morning here, really the only kind of thing I want you guys to pay attention to is the dense fog advisory. Now, even though most of the populated areas in Miami-Dade and Broward are not in this dense fog advisory, you can still see some of that seeping on through. I saw a little bit of that as I was rolling into work. Nothing crazy, but I could tell there was going to be some fog out there this morning. And the setup is ripe for it here. We don't have much in the wind department, and we have an approaching front. Always seems to work that way. A little extra lift in the atmosphere, and that can get some fog going. Needless to say, dense fog advisory goes until about 8 o'clock this morning. Visibility could get down to a quarter of a mile or so. That's pretty bad. But again, the positive spin is I think most of us will skip the worst of it. Right now, we've got dense fog in Naples, right at that quarter mile number there. So a little trickier over there. Okay, so for us, temperature-wise, it's pretty comfortable. Upper 60s, low 70s. This is pretty close to average, maybe just a hair above. We are watching this front that will slide on in later this evening into the overnight hours tonight, and that will bring some slightly cooler numbers. There's the front. You notice pretty dry, though. Not much in the rain department today, about a 10% chance. Let's flash up that forecast for you here. Come on, future track, and move it along. 87, record high for today, 89, so it's going to be another warm one. Much more in that 7-day forecast coming up next.
Breaking story from overnight. If at first you don't succeed, try again. And it was on that third try that it finally worked. After several delays, NASA's moon rocket officially blasted off from Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, Florida earlier this morning.
Yeah, the flight carrying 3 test dummies on board. It also brings the United States just a step closer to putting astronauts back on the moon.
A couple of years away from making that happen, hopefully. Let's check in with meteorologist Ariel Rodriguez from our sister station, Telemundo 51. He is in Titusville for us this morning, where he got to witness the launch. Ariel.
Good morning, Chris and Constance. This morning, we witnessed history in the making as hundreds gather here in Titusville to witness how the most powerful rocket in the world finally achieved liftoff. For now, the calm has returned to the shores of the Indian River Lagoon as people continue to leave. However, at NASA, the job is barely getting started. Ariel Rodriguez, NBC6 News.
In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
Well, let's head south from Cape Canaveral down to West Palm Beach, where former President Donald Trump officially announced he is running for president again. His 2024 presidential bid will be his third run for the White House. NBC6's Steve Litz was in Palm Beach while the former president made that big announcement. Coming up at 5:30 this morning, we'll take a closer look at reactions from both inside and outside of the ballroom after former President Trump announced he is again running for president. A Broward County man is facing a murder charge connected to the disappearance of his estranged wife. NBC6's Xochitl Hernandez is live with us this morning in Fort Lauderdale with the latest on this breakthrough in this case. Xochitl, what led up to this arrest?
Well, Chris, this Broward County Sheriff's now trying to find Mimose for really ever since this past weekend.
Sochi, thank you. Well, residents now breathing a sigh of relief this morning following the arrest of 5 current and former members of the Hammock's home Owners Association board. Those leaders are accused of theft, fraud, and racketeering. NBC6's Julia Bagg, she joins us live this morning with the details on those charges that they're facing. This is surprising, Julia.
Yeah, and Constance, certainly some satisfaction, as you mentioned, for those homeowners as these 5 leaders, both current and former, of that HOA board now under arrest.
All right, Julia, thank you. Well, this morning, Dr. Vicki Cartwright now speaking out after members of the Broward School Board appointed by Governor Ron DeSantis voted to fire her. Just 3 weeks ago, the board gave Cartwright 90 days to address any concerns after an hours-long special meeting debating her future with the board.
I was shocked and surprised by the conversation. I'm even asking for audits, and I'm uncovering things and trying to put into corrective action to address those things, yet it's being held against me.
Well, board member Dan Foji-Holy led the motion to fire Cartwright. He says 2 critical audit reports were the last straw.
A lot of people use the example, you give a child 90 days to improve, and you find out they're cheating on a test. I'm not good with that. And we're not going to give you 90 days to continue to do things wrong. So for me, it was part of the toxic culture that I wanted to address.
Pretty serious words there. The school board chair brought up the motion to appoint an interim superintendent during yesterday's session.
5:09 your time still to come. We're going to take a closer look at some of the things happening today across South Florida.
Plus, Florida Senator Rick Scott making moves following the midterm elections. That top spot, he's now looking to take over from Republicans.
And the most wonderful time of the year is getting closer, but the holidays can be a little stressful sometimes. Experts are sharing how you can keep your holiday cheer and prevent getting depressed or upset or sad. Coming up, we're going to have this important information you need to know.
Let me cheer you up with some good news on the roadways. If you are headed out maybe to I-75, a beautiful commute ahead as we have no reported incidents. But yeah, Adam did mention some of that low-lying fog. It is patchy. You're going to notice it on some of the major routes like this one, I-75. You're going to see it kind of in some of those areas that are off to the side of the road. I drove through it myself this morning as well coming to work. So if you see it on the side of the road, it's really not going to impact you. If you see it while you're traveling on the roadways, just slow it down a little bit. Exactly. Don't use those high beams and carry on with your commute. It's patchy. It is definitely isolated. You're only going to see it in certain areas. It is not widespread this morning. So if you're heading out to other locations, it's going to look like this. We are crash free throughout Miami-Dade and Broward County. We'll be right back.
The morning forecast is an important one because it's the very first thing people are seeing when they're waking up and they're trying to plan their day. So if you're about to leave the house, you need to know, hey, am I going to see rain on my way to work? I need to leave a little earlier. So the information that's going out on air is the exact same forecast that you're going to see on the NBC6 app. You've got a team of meteorologists. We're entering in all the information so we can give you the forecast wherever you are. So the app is great when you're on the go, just to keep you as prepared as possible.
NBC6 First Alert Weather, certified most accurate 9 years in a row.
Okay, we do have this dense fog advisory, but we're not finding much dense fog where we live unless you are watching from the west coast of Florida. Maybe cranking out an antenna or something, checking out little South Florida. I know a lot of our Caribbean locations watch us too. Hey, if you're coming here, we've got dense fog this morning, but mostly on the west coast of Florida. It goes until 8 a.m., but even with that said, we'll likely still see some fog developing a little closer to Miami-Dade and Broward County. I saw a little bit this morning. Kristen was just mentioning that she saw a little bit this morning. Naples a little better. You were down to a quarter mile, now half mile, but you can see right now where some of that gray shading, that is where the dense fog is at this moment. Temperatures kind of nice out there, upper 60s, low 70s, getting pretty close to average. Are you ready for some cooler weather? It's not happening today, but tomorrow it will. There is a front. Hey, mid 70s down through the Keys. So when the winds are light, typically you're going to find some 60s this time of the year inland, and boom, there we go. Kendall, Homestead, the usual suspects. We can get some cool air that kind of drains down through some of these slightly lower elevation spots. I mean, there's not much elevation in South Florida, but a little bit of a dip, and we can kind of get some of that cool air to kind of pool down there. Anyway, that's what we've got going on. Slightly warmer towards the coast, 72 Fort Lauderdale, 72 in Miami. No rain. We've got the clear skies. That's what's allowing those temperatures to dip just enough to get that humidity up enough to get a little bit of that fog going. And so because of that, I'm not going to bring those rain chances down to 0. 20-30% as we go Thursday into Friday. Most importantly, widespread 60s with highs maybe having trouble getting out of the 70s on Friday with a north breeze, few showers, few extra clouds, and then a little bit of a sketchy weekend forecast. Again, we're still trying to gather all the data here, but certainly some raindrops, a little breezy, but hey, at least the temperatures are not uncomfortable anymore.
Yeah, so if someone hits you with, so who'd you vote for in the midterms? That's when you say, can you pass the sweet potato casserole, please?
It's the worst conversations.
Deflection. Switch the topics.
No politics at the dinner table, please. All right, our time 5:19. Here's what's ahead on NBC 6 today.
And the University of Miami men's basketball team cruising to another victory early in the season. The highlights from their win against FAMU. It's coming up in sports.
Okay, we're checking out the drive with some of those drive times all under 10 minutes right now. By the way, we can check out some of the other areas around South Florida with live looks. It is crash-free outside. So here are some of your drive times. Maybe you're headed to southbound lanes of 95 from Golden Glades to 395. It's an 8-minute drive. 9 minutes on the Palmetto Expressway taking you from the Big Curve to the 836. And finally, a 6-minute ride going on the Palmetto from the Big Curve to Golden Glades Interchange. Not a bad commute out there as it should be here. So it should be a nice ride, definitely at 5:19 in the morning, and I'm happy to report to you that it is. A live look in Miami-Dade, that's coming up next.
Hey there, good morning. Time for your look at sports. I'm Ruthie Polinsky. The Florida Panthers back at FLA Live Arena last night hosting the Washington Capitals, looking to bounce back after Saturday's loss to the Oilers.
Sandy, Cy Young goes well together, right?
Yeah.
Let's keep our fingers crossed so you can bring home the hardware. All right, 5:25 your time coming up in our next half hour of news here on your Wednesday morning. All
right, you guys, big news from overnight. A familiar face has entered the 2024 presidential run. We have more on the big announcement from Mar-a-Lago. That's coming up next.
Changes coming to Disney. The new prices you can expect to pay if you plan on visiting the most magical place on earth.
All right, let's go ahead and check out the drive right now. We are taking a look at Miami-Dade. Maybe you're headed here this morning. Maybe you live here and going to another portion of it. Well, guess what? We have great news on the roads. We have no reported delays, and right now, still a crash-free commute. So if you're heading out to maybe 95 or the Palmetto, maybe you're going to the Dolphin Expressway, the Turnpike Extension, Chrome Avenue. You can see everything's in the green. That's what we want this morning. So you have a really nice drive. 95 south, still, it's just going to take you minutes right now to 395. If you're heading over to the beach, maybe taking 195, 395, the Venetian Causeway, 79th Street. Shouldn't be an issue right now either. A1A looks clear on the beach side. We'll be right back.
NBC 6 News Today at 5:30 starts now.
Straight ahead, the court battle over a social media model and whether she should stay behind bars ahead of her trial for murder. I'll tell you where things stand now, coming up.
The investigation into a woman's disappearance turns into a murder charge for her estranged husband. We'll have why coming up.
And liftoff of Artemis 1. We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
Finally, we have been waiting for this moment, and it was here this morning. NASA Artemis 1 rocket officially launching from Cape Canaveral earlier this morning. We're going to have a live report from our Space Coast coming up at 5:45.
How cool would it be in a few years if we get a live report from the moon?
That would be cool.
Our moon correspondent.
I think that's a great job for you, Chris.
The lunar correspondent.
Send you out of here.
Right, one-way ticket.
Yeah.
I need 5 though. I got to bring my wife and kids.
They'll come for a visit.
For a visit.
Good morning, South Florida. Thanks for waking up with us. I'm Constance Jones.
And I'm Chris Anderson. Hope you're having a great week so far. Mother Nature's been cooperating, and it looks like we may be getting an additional break from the heat and the humidity.
Yeah, but it looks like it's going to come with a little bit of rain, though.
Yeah, Adam Berg joins us now with the game plan of what we have in store.
And
there's another and.
And you're going to want to stick around for 5:45 because I just tweaked the 7-day forecast a little bit. Slightly less rain on some days, slightly more on others.
Oh, okay.
But cooler for many days.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Let's get you folks out the door here. So you may have heard there's a dense fog advisory, but it's mostly western suburbs and the west coast of Florida. This is where we're seeing some fog right now around Naples. But Naples, you have improved greatly. You were about a quarter mile when we started the show an hour ago. Now you're up to 4 miles visibility, much better. 10 miles visibility, all the big stations you see here up and down the East Coast. So there's your dense fog advisory. You see it's basically western reaches of Broward and then the west coast of Florida until 8 a.m. But you still could see some fog this morning. Just want to make you aware. Upper 60s to low 70s, except for Key West, you're at 76 degrees. The upper 60s are inland locations. Hey, it is rain-free for all of us. There's the next front that's going to be coming through this evening. Let's track it for you. Very little rain today, about a 10% chance. And then that front works in overnight tonight, bringing some cooler numbers. But not just yet today. 87 still the high, average high 81. The record for today, 89. 7-day forecast coming up straight ahead.
In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
Not a big surprise, but after much speculation, it's official. Former President Donald Trump launching his third campaign for the White House. He did so overnight at his Mar-a-Lago estate. He's throwing his hat into the ring. He did so in West Palm Beach for, again, that third time.
NBC 6 reporter Steve Litz is there with more on this big major announcement.
Some sad developments here locally. The husband of a Broward County woman who has been missing since last week has been arrested in connection with her disappearance. NBC 6's Xochitl Hernandez live in Fort Lauderdale with the very latest on what we know. Xochitl, I know you've been covering this case since earlier this week, and this is a pretty big development.
It is. It was only Monday that I was talking to family members, and they had high hopes that they would be able to find some clues as to what happened to her, where she is. But, you know, now BSO believing that her estranged husband is responsible for her disappearance and charging him with murder, saying that they believe she was murdered inside this home right here.
Sochi, thank you. A local social media model remains behind bars this morning, still seeking bond in her case. She's awaiting trial for murder in the fatal stabbing of her boyfriend. NBC 6's Julia Back. She joins us live with the latest details in court that happened just yesterday. And what is it revealing, Julia?
Well, her lawyers are not giving up the fight to free her ahead of this trial. 26-year-old Courtney Clenny getting emotional in court here yesterday as a judge listened to arguments from both sides over whether she should be allowed to bond out of jail.
Julia, thank you. Our time now is 5:39. Still to come on NBC 6 today.
There's an investigation underway after a Russian missile fell into Poland, killing at least 2 people. How the Biden administration is responding this morning as the president meets with world leaders at the G20 summit.
Okay, I've been threatening us with some cooler numbers here, so let's kind of break down overnight temperatures. Now, this morning we're still going to be looking at overnight numbers or early morning numbers in the low 70s. And then the front comes in this evening. You see that 67 there briefly on Thursday. It's brief. Then we're slightly above average again, mostly because behind this front, we're going to be looking at winds coming in off the water. But hey, at least we're looking a little cooler. Wait until you see the highs. I think you might like that. But then we got some rain to contend with. I know, sounds like a lot. Your 7-day forecast coming up next.
You know, sometimes it's nice to hear the weather changing, right? Instead of just the typical hot and humid after day after day. Okay, let's go ahead and check out the roadways. We have double trouble here in Broward County. We knew the good commute couldn't last forever, so here I am to warn you about 2 incidents you have to watch for. All happening close to 95. The first one's actually going to be at that off-ramp there. This is going to be I-95 northbound at 595. The crash is on the ramp to westbound 595. This is actually a patrol car crash according to Florida Highway Patrol. So you're going to watch for a big scene here as you are heading out the door, maybe making your way to this portion of 95. Then if you are on the southbound lanes of 95, police activity that's going to be blocking 2 lanes right around Hollywood Boulevard. We'll be right back.
I think they take advantage.
All right, this morning, at least 2 people are dead after a Russian missile landed in Poland. Poland says its government will continue to investigate this issue. President Biden expressed his condolences. This all happening. He's with world leaders overseas. Biden held an emergency meeting with G7 and NATO leaders to discuss this attack. He says that it's unlikely the missile was launched from Russia, and Russia's defense military denies any involvement in the strikes. He says the United States will continue to support fellow NATO members.
I can assure you we will determine what happened and what appropriate next steps would be.
Biden reassures NATO allies that he will offer assistance with Poland's investigation into this deadly attack.
The collapse of the crypto exchange FTX has the full attention of the Department of Homeland Security. The El Dorado Task Force South has an ongoing criminal investigation involving the cryptocurrency platform, targeting a wide range of crimes across South Florida, including crypto schemes. FTX entered bankruptcy protection last week after a surge in withdrawals due to concerns about its financial health overall. Then, over the weekend, the company was robbed of more than $400 million worth of its tokens. If you're a victim, call the Homeland Security tip line. That number is right there on your screen, 866-347-2424.
2, 1, boosters in ignition, and liftoff of Artemis 1. We rise together.
Breaking from overnight, it is a new day in American space exploration.
And NASA successfully launching Artemis 1, beginning its long-awaited journey where it's going to circle the moon. 3rd time's a charm. If this mission is successful, as everyone's hoping it will be, the stage will be set for Americans to return to the lunar surface in just a matter of a couple of years.
That's right. NBC's Chris Pallone, he joins us now live from Kennedy Space Center with more on the big launch just a few hours ago. Chris.
Yeah, that's right, Constance and Chris, and I'm still amped up from what I witnessed just a few hours ago. It really was remarkable to be here in person. Of course, this has been delayed multiple times, not just because of technical issues, but also because of those 2 hurricanes we've had in the last month or 6 weeks or so.
NBC6 First Alert Weather, certified most accurate 9 years in a row.
And I was concerned about this front working into Cape Canaveral, which is right in through here, but the front just far enough to the north and west, and as you can see, no activity anywhere near there, so that certainly helped get that launch fired up and out of here. Okay, so as far as stories for us this morning, some fog out there, although looking pretty good right now. Naples, you were 1/4 mile, now you're 4 miles visibility. 10 miles visibility, all the big stations here, reporting stations up and down the East Coast areas. I did see a little fog, though, this morning, and we do have a dense fog advisory basically for the unpopulated areas in Broward, so well west of places like West End and Parkland, some of these spots. Nothing for Miami-Dade County. Again, it's mostly the west coast of Florida. Goes until 8 a.m., so if you're traveling Alligator Alley to the west coast, just be careful. All right, let me back away. Let's break down your next few hours with It's Time to Walk Fluffy. I love this picture. What a great picture. You see that rainbow in the distance as well? This is probably not done on an iPhone, although maybe. This is good stuff, though. This is Thiago. Thanks so much for sending in this picture. Thiago, if you are in town, this is how it's looking here this morning. Okay, so just to recap, 87 today, still warm, still humid, close to a record. And then we stay stuck in those low 80s. I've dialed back the rain amounts and chances Thursday, Friday, but the weekend is looking tricky. Sunday I'm targeting right now as the best chance for rain as yet another front works in.
Another front. Okay, Adam, thanks so much. Well, the failure of Republicans to win back control of the Senate has Senator Rick Scott looking to take on a bigger role at Capitol Hill. The junior senator announced that he will challenge Mitch McConnell for the Republican leadership role in the Senate. The former Florida governor sent out a tweet saying, quote, "It's time for new leadership in the Senate that unites Republicans to advance a bold conservative agenda." McConnell has held that position since 2007, making him the longest-serving Republican leader in the Senate history. Senate Republicans may hold leadership elections starting today, but some want to hold off the elections until the Georgia Senate runoff race is completed later in December. Okay. Time now, 5:57. Here's what's ahead on NBC 6 today.
There are a lot of long COVID patients who report debilitating symptoms lasting weeks, even months after they've recovered. Consumer Reports is here to tell us what you can do to get proper care and find the relief you're seeking.
Also today, it is National Fast Food Day. One of Chris's favorite holidays.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
doing a dance
Every
to
day
it.
a fast food day, right?
All right, new at 6 o'clock, we've got some deals at your favorite restaurants if you're planning on indulging.
I love it. Fast food any day of the week. I'm with you. Hey, if you are headed out onto the roadways this morning, there is trouble on the Palmetto Expressway. Road construction happening on the Palmetto Expressway eastbound lanes. It's been happening for a few days now. It's going to be right around Douglas Road, Northwest 37th Avenue. That road work there is at that on-ramp, left lane blocked. But as we take a closer look and you zoom on in with me, you'll notice that the roadways, though, still in the green, which means that it's running up to speed, at least for right now. So I'm happy to tell you that. But unfortunately, also, you're going to find road construction on this portion of the Palmetto. It's going to happen at 47th Avenue, road work right there. Also on that on-ramp left lane, which is blocked. But again, not too many folks out at 5:54 this morning. Maybe once you get out the door, finally make it to this location, you're probably going to find those delays. So just keep that in mind here. If you want to avoid it, take a local route and then merge onto the Palmetto. You always have the option to do that. We'll be right back.
Getting it right is easy when it's sunny and 75, but when you get it right when it's stormy and there's flooding or there are severe thunderstorms, that's when you can connect accuracy and dependability for our viewers.
This young athlete's passion and dedication for soccer has earned him a spot in teams above his age group.
He has amazing development in the soccer and in his life.
His story on Champions Soccer Edition, Friday at 5 on NBC 6 News.
The Black Friday sale is going on now at BrandsMart USA.
5:56 is your time. We continue learning more about what's called long COVID. It's where patients recovering from COVID-19 report debilitating symptoms that can last weeks, even months in some cases. Consumer Reports follows one woman's long COVID journey, and it could actually help you or anyone else you know who is suffering from long COVID find some relief. Those insurance codes are key. Change a couple numbers, it can change your bill.
That's
Big
right.
time.
Our time now, 5:59. Here's what's ahead on NBC 6 today.
Locked, loaded, and taken down, the lengths a security guard and civilians went to stop an armed man who stormed this clinic.
And a dog walks to a police station. No, it's not the beginning of a joke, but a very real story of a canine who lost his way and needed help fetching his owner.
Interesting. Move over, songbirds, and make way for rockin' rodents? Huh? Well, we'll tell you what these rats are teaching researchers. It's all part of a brand new study.
Yeah, he's doing a little bit of a dance there.
The rat dance.
That'll do it for NBC 6 News at 5:30.
Don't go anywhere. These stories and a whole lot more coming up. And the news at 6 starts right now.